right, guys, today we are going to be making the paper that we're going to use for our owl's wings. So we're going to start with oil pastels. Let's open this up. We're going to try to stick with our rainbow colors. So let's not use, brown, black, white, gray. Let's stick with our rainbow colors. What you're going to do is think of some lines and shapes that you know. You can even look up at our lines poster, and you can start drawing some of those on your paper. So maybe I'll start with a castle line. And then I'm going to get a different oil pastel. Maybe I'll do a wavy line. And I like to switch oil pastels every time I draw a new line or shape. So what's another one? Maybe a loop-de-loop line. And you can see you can overlap them. What's another line? Maybe a few diagonal lines over here. You can see I'm overlapping. Maybe a zigzag line down here. I can draw some shapes. Maybe I'll do a spiral. Kind of want like a triangle down here. What I'm trying to do is really fill my space. Haven't used purple yet. Maybe I'll put a square right here in the middle, or a rectangle. Maybe a circle up here. And then I kind of want one more thing over here, I think. I used all my colors. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue. I think I used all my colors, so maybe I can use a color more than once. Maybe I'll use pink, and maybe I'll do a big oval. Kind of sounds cool. There we go. Okay, so I did a really good job filling my space with my lines and shapes. Now I can go get a messy mat, and I can grab paints and a paintbrush. It's going to be kind of hard for you guys to see my paints in the video. Maybe you'll get a little bit of them. Okay, now you guys know how these paints work. You have to add a little bit of water, put a little puddle in there. So maybe I'll start with this light green. Start with a little puddle. And it's okay, you can see how this one is kind of chunky. Instead of, some of them are brand new and they look like this. But this one still works exactly the same, and it's still paint. Okay, so I've stirred it around. I've mixed that water in with that paint. Now I'm just going to find a space on my paper that I want to put that first color. And I think I like it down here in this bottom corner. There we go, that looks pretty good. Okay, now I'll switch to yellow maybe. Got to make that little puddle again. So what you're going to kind of do is use several colors to fill in your whole paper with paint. We don't want to have any white space on your paper when you're all done. So maybe I'll paint up here with my yellow. It's okay to put colors next to each other, but let's not overlap your paint. So that way they're really nice bright colors. When you start to overlap your paint and mix them together, they start to not look quite as pretty. They start to look a little muddy or dirty. So let's just put them next to each other and not really blend them together. Okay, I like that little corner, and I'm making sure that whatever section I decide to paint, I'm not leaving white spaces in that section. Okay, now I really like this pink, so I'm going to use the pink. Making my little puddle, and then mix. Okay, now let's look. I just painted down here with pink, but I left some white spaces in here. So I need to go back and really make sure that whatever part I'm deciding to paint, that I'm not leaving any white spaces. And you can see if you mixed your colors together, if you mixed your water and your paint together well, your oil pastels show through really great. If you're noticing that maybe your oil pastels are not showing through really well, it might mean that you either didn't press down very hard with your oil pastel. You got to make sure to press hard with your oil pastel. Or it might actually mean that you mixed your paint and your water together too well and you don't have enough water in there with your paint. Okay, because it's the water that makes the oil pastel show through your paint. So make sure you add enough water in there. And I have room for a couple more paint colors, I think. Okay, and you can see that I'm just making sure that I put my colors next to each other. I don't want to leave any white space between my colors, but I'm not overlapping them. Okay, I think I'm all done. I'm just going to double check to make sure I didn't leave any white spaces. I think I did a really awesome job, so I am going to carry this to the drying rack. All right, guys, let's get started. All right, guys, so today we are making our owl head, and you will already have a jumping line drawn on your paper. This is for the top of your owl's head. It will already be on there drawn with pencil. We are going to jump right in with our Sharpies today, and you're going to go over those two pencil lines like that. That's the top of your owl's head. Now, owls have very big eyes, so we want to make two really big circles for our owl's eyes with your Sharpie. Then inside that circle, you're going to make another circle. That's a little smaller. And then we need his little beak. So you can start with your line, or if that helps you, you can start with the letter V. Sometimes I like to start with my letter V first and then make my line across the top to close it. It's just an upside down little triangle for our little beak shape. Then inside this smaller circle, we're gonna make two more circles inside for the little highlights in your owl's eyes. And I like to do these because it just makes your owl look super cute. So you can see I made two smaller ones. And with your Sharpie, you're going to color that in. Make sure you're not scribbling. You're gonna color in that medium circle. So here's your big circle, here's your medium circle, and those are your small circles. So color in that medium circle and leave those little baby circles white. And those are your highlights. Like I said, it just makes your owl look super cute. Okay, there's one. Now we'll do this one. Okay, and you can see I colored those in really nicely. I didn't leave any scribble lines. I didn't leave any little white marks in there. I filled it in all the way. Now we are ready for our oil pastels. So we are only going to use the rainbow colors today. So stick with red, orange, yellows, greens, blues, purples, and you can use pink as well if you'd like. But don't use the grays, browns, blacks, whites. Okay, so what you need to do is pick two colors for your eyes and two colors for the rest of your owl's head. Now, I like to start by thinking, okay, I want to start with, so maybe for my eye, I'll start with yellow, because that's one color I really want. Now, for my second color, for my owl's eyes, I have to think of a color that's next to yellow in the rainbow, or next to yellow on the color wheel that is hanging up on the wall. But if you can't see the color wheel or you're not close to the color wheel, you can also think of the rainbow. So if we say our rainbow, red, orange, yellow, green. So it sounds like right before yellow, there's orange, and right after yellow in the rainbow, there was green. So I can do either orange or green with my yellow. So I think I would really like to do orange as my second color for my eyes. And then I think I really want to do blue for my owl's head. So then I have to think, what is another color next to blue on the color wheel or in the rainbow? So red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple. So if you heard, right before blue was green and right after blue was purple. So I can do either one. I think I'm going to do purple. Love it. Okay, so I'm going to start with my eyes. And I'm going to do this area right around my pupil with my first color. And with oil pastels, you have to kind of push down hard for them to show up really nice and bright. Otherwise, they look kind of light. And I'll show you an example of what can happen if you're not pushing down hard and if you're not filling up your space all the way. You also have to make sure you're not scribbling and you're filling up that space. Okay, so you can see I didn't color in the whole eye. I left a little bit of space because that's where I'm going to put that second color, that orange for me. Yours might not be yellow and orange. Yours might be different. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Now I'm going to take my orange. And remember, I always make sure that when, right now I have them out. I should not have them out. I always make sure that when I'm not using an oil pastel, I put it back in the tray so it's not rolling off the table and getting stepped on. Now, my second color for my eyes is orange. And so I'm going to make sure I go all the way to that black line. I don't want to leave any white space in my eyes. All right, that looks pretty good. There we go. Now they kind of look like they're glowing because there's two colors. Now I like to color my little beak orange. But you can color your beak orange or yellow, or you can decide. I like for my beak to be orange. And I'm filling that in all the way. Now I'm ready for the rest of my owl's head. You don't need to color up here because we're actually going to cut that spot off. But I am ready. I think I'm going to start with my outside color. So you can see how we did. Our main color was yellow, and then we also added orange. I'm going to start with purple. That's my second color for my owl's head. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go all the way around the outside of my owl's head with my purple. And we're adding two colors just to make, or adding two colors in each space just to make it look a little more interesting. And you can see I'm kind of pressing down hard and going back and forth over my lines. You don't want to make a little skinny line like that. You can see I just like made one little skinny line, and that's too skinny. I always have people that do that. You can see what I'm doing is I'm going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and you get this nice thick line. I can put my purple back, and then I can get my last color, which is blue. Now, I want to show you the difference of pushing down hard and filling your space all the way, and what happens if you don't do that. So on this side of my little owl's cheek, I'll push down hard, I'll fill in all my spaces. I'm doing my best not to go over those black lines. I don't want to go into the eyes or anything like that. So I'm being careful, not rushing. Okay, So you can see I went right up to my purple. I didn't leave any white spaces. Now, if I don't push down hard, you can see the difference. The color is not very bright at all. You can see that like little white spots poking through from the paper, right? It looks scribbly, it looks messy. This looks really nice and bright and smooth. So make sure you're doing that as well. Also, like I said, go all the way up to your black lines without going over them. We don't want to leave any white spaces. The only white spaces that should be on your owl's head when you're all done is these cute little highlights in his eyes. All right, how cute is my little owl? The last step is to cut him out, and all you're gonna do to cut him out is just cut off that top white spot. So basically just cut on that black line that we drew right at the very beginning. And there we go, there's our owl's head. I made sure to push down pretty hard with my oil pastel, fill in all my spaces all the way. The only little white spots I have are these two little highlights in the eyes. I made sure when I was drawing my eyes that I made them really large. One big circle, one medium circle, two small circles for your owl's eyes. I cannot wait to see your owl heads, my friends.